Covering Florida, another investigation is now uncovering disturbing new details about the deadly condo collapse 5 years ago in Surfside. Now, federal investigators are revealing the likely cause of that collapse. According to a new federal report, the structure failures at Champlain Towers began 3 weeks before the building fell. On June 24th, 2021, the pool deck fell into the underground parking garage, causing a chain reaction that destroyed a large part of the building and killed nearly 100 people. Monday's report found the collapse was the result of a flawed design and faulty construction. Martin Langsfeld lost his sister and brother-in-law in that collapse. He says the report offers few definitive answers. He's calling for the Miami-Dade State's Attorney's Office to open a criminal investigation.
It's extremely disappointing to see this report. 5 years later, we're supposed to be happy with this paper that says designs were bad and there was corrosion. A building collapsed in Miami, Florida in the middle of the night in 12 seconds. It killed 98 people and no one has been held accountable.
A final federal report is still to come. A group of defendants and the families harmed by the collapse reached a $1 billion settlement 4 years ago.